There are artists and labels out there who have a heart for preaching the gospel and also for building really solid businesses out of that preaching.
Someone I know got me on the next thing.
The third reason I ended up leaving or expanding was because personally for me, and I have to say this is a personal conviction, okay? I could not reconcile my desire for financial gain from my music with using the gospel message as a means of achieving it. I'm not saying this is inherently wrong. There are artists and labels out there who have a heart for preaching the gospel and also for building really solid businesses out of that preaching. KB and Native Supply immediately come to mind, and there's no judgment there. Kevin is an honest, godly brother. It's just that for me, I could not make sense of it in my head and in my heart. Like, I distinctly remember on many occasions backstage at a festival or concert right before going on stage to perform. And it's me and a bunch of some of the other Christian artists. We're talking and we're hanging out. And we're talking about any number of things, but sometimes we'd be talking about, I remember instances we'd be talking about numbers like, hey man, last month I sold these many CDs, or I got these many downloads, or I sold this much merch, or booked these many shows, and for this show right here, I'm trying to sell this, that, and the third. Like, we're literally talking stats and numbers, talking about our goals. And then the runner comes up and says, hey buddy, you're up. And within a blink of an eye, the artist goes from talking about these goals and objectives to going on stage and saying, anybody in here who love Jesus, put your hands up in the air. And of course the people react to that. Of course the people respond to that. And that just kind of started to rub me the wrong way. I found it very difficult to have KPIs, key performance indices, to have specific financial aims and objectives with my business and know that the means by which I was going to achieve them was by using the gospel message to tug on people's heartstrings. Like, I know if I say things like, anybody here who loves Jesus and is not ashamed of the gospel and just wants to follow Jesus, put your hands up in the air. I know that if I say that, the people will respond and will very likely end up at my merch table when I'm done performing. And that is exactly what I want to happen. So I'm going to say the right words. And this just became very, very, very difficult for me to reconcile and make sense of in my head. Now, I'm not saying preaching the message and building a business out of that is inherently wrong. At the end of the day, nothing is free. The shows ain't free. The tour buses ain't free. The sound tech ain't free. The venue ain't free. Road manager ain't free. I get it. Everybody got bills to pay. And there are Christian artists and Christian business owners who have found a way to preach the message with a purity of heart and still build successful businesses. I just knew that for me, in my conscience, I could not stomach having these financial aims and objectives and knowing that my medium for getting there was going to be by using the gospel message. For me, it made much more sense, and it was much easier for my conscience to build successful businesses selling something that was not immoral but not explicitly religious. And again, I have to stress, this is just a personal conviction of mine. Like, if I'm selling you good, scratch good. If I'm selling you great music, because my music is fire, you should go stream that, right? That is not necessarily preaching the gospel message per se, but it's coming from a Christian worldview, then in my head, it makes sense for me to charge you for that. It makes sense for me to go meet with my team and be like, hey guys, okay, these are our sales targets, right? These are our ticket goals, our streaming goals, our revenue goals, our margin goals, etc. Because I know that the path I'm using to reach these very set financial objectives is not through the direct use or leveraging of the gospel message. You see what I'm saying? Or of any of the other businesses that I've been involved in, I can say this month, this is how many new clients I want to close, right? Or this is how much revenue I want to generate through this, or this is how many properties I would like to acquire to generate me X amount of dollars. Like, my conscience is perfectly fine with that, right? It just makes much more sense for me and is much easier to stomach. My conscience is at peace working on building businesses, very financially successful businesses, Lord willing, when the thing I am selling is not the Christian message. And that was the third reason I ended up having to expand beyond the Christian music industry. And finally, the fourth reason was this: it simply was no longer necessary. With the number of tools we now have to build and nurture an audience, it is no longer necessary to try to get into a particular industry. Whether it's Christian or secular mainstream, for better or worse, the algorithm on all of these platforms have gotten so smart and are getting smarter that they can easily put your stuff in front of the people who are most likely to respond to it. So now the name of of the game is not trying to break into an industry. The name of the game is building and cultivating your specific audience. And if you do this well enough, the industry, whatever that industry is, will come knocking on your door. And we've seen this happen multiple times. So the blueprint now is to be you, to let your personality shine, to offer to the world the things that make you uniquely you. And it's no secret. That is exactly what I am doing with this channel and all of the content I am now creating. Listen, personally, for a long time, I have been hesitant to show this analytical, rational, educational side of me because I feared that it would take away from my artist image. You know the artist image, right? Cool, removed, I should have my shades at this point. Distant, always well put together, and particularly in urban music that I'm in, kind of uneducated, not as articulate, not as available, at least not for the artists who want to be seen as A-listers. The artist image is not one of the individual who will sit down and give a lecture or speech or teach repeatedly, which is one of the things I am doing with this channel. No, that's a speaker. That's a thinker. That's not an Afrofusion artist. But says who? Says who? Thankfully, we now have many more tools that make it possible for each and every single one of us to find our tribe. So now I no longer have to try to be a Christian artist any more than I have to try to be a mainstream artist. I am free to be whatever kind of artist I want to be. I am free to be Chopay. And you're free to be you. I hope you found value in this. If you did, like, comment, share with a friend. If you want to keep seeing more great content from this channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification. And if you want to support this channel and what my team and I are doing, please go join the Culture Rich World mailing list for special discounts and perks on some of the amazing pieces we've got. Links in the description. Check out these music videos for some good vibes and this playlist for more great insights. I'll see you next time. Peace.
I'll admit it. Yeah, I get it. You been holding me down for a minute. I've been taking too long, I'll admit it. Yeah, I'll admit it.